Welcome to Insurance Technology Amplified, the podcast where we explore how innovation is transforming the insurance industry. This is the place where technology and expertise come together to empower agents, carriers, and the industry alike. Thank you for tuning in. Now, let's get to the show.
Welcome everyone to today's podcast. Usually it's Michael who does the intros, but it looks like it being July 4th, at the end of the week, everybody's out, so it's going to be just me today. Today's guest, though, we honored to have Zac Franz. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Zac Franz?
Franz, kind of like the boxed
Oh,
wine.
the country. Franz, yeah.
Franz, yes, it's Austrian.
Oh, it's Austrian, okay. You're the manager of strategic partnerships at ePay Policy. Everybody knows it's a leading provider of digital payment solutions for the insurance industry. And I'm going to just read the intro here. With extensive experience in the fintech space, Zac has been instrumental in building key relationships that enhance ePay Policy's impact on the payments ecosystem. Known for his strategic insights, Zac is actively shaping the future of digital payments in insurance. So welcome, Zac. It's a pleasure to have you with us, or in this case, me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Peter. I look forward to chatting.
Excellent. So as most of our clients know, and I'm not sure who exactly is listening, but ePay Policy, as the intro says, is truly a pioneer in the field of revolutionizing insurance payments in the insurance space. And I believe you are definitely our first payment processing integration. I'm not mistaken, you're probably one of the first and most popular solutions in that space in the industry. I have to look back, but I believe we've been integrated probably for at least, I know it was definitely pre-COVID, way pre-COVID. So do you have the date?
I don't have the date, but I know we were integrated since before I started at ePay, and I just clicked 5 years a couple weeks ago. So I know that you guys are one of our longest standing integrations, and we're happy to be working together to support these mutual customers.
Yeah, great. So then I'm estimating it was at least 3 years before that, so probably 8 years going now.
Man, you guys got in there early with Todd and Millen, huh?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have some emails from back in the early days when, we had some, issues with the integration, the authentication, and now we have a few more, as you know, but it's easier to integrate. But back then, it was new to us. How do we integrate with payment processors, and do we have to be compliant? And we never had to integrate with hosted forms, so we had to learn what that means, so that all the security protocols get handled by you guys and we don't have to get involved. So our tech team, learned all that. And then you probably know there was a small incident, actually before you. I don't know if you were here at the time. In our first or second year.
Me.
Yeah, it was before. There was a small incident, nothing major. I think it was less of a hacker than a technical issue where we, like a rogue script kept sending stuff over and over again. So, but other than that, I think it's been smooth sailing, and a lot of our clients are very happy with the ability to have the ease of being able to process client payments directly from the platform, the agency management system, and reducing the manual work involved in billing clients, and also providing convenience for their clients where they can just email an invoice with a link to pay, and also be able for the client and the CSI, the agency, to save the payment method preferred by the insured into what do you guys call the wallet, a vault? I forgot.
It's tokenized. So we save the payment as its tokenized payment credentials, and all that's kept at the bank here.
You refer to that as a wallet or as a vault internally?
The term that I usually use is tokenized payment credentials.
Tokenized payment. Okay, well, Let's use that. So most people use with digital wallets. So I think usually when we explain things, it makes it easier to clients. But I believe you are still our largest provider in terms of the number of agencies of our clients that use electronic payments that way, as well as by the volume of transactions. So again, it's been a great partnership, providing a great service to our clients and to their customers as well. I guess I have a list of questions here we can go down, but one of the main, and I'm going to ask you, like, what you've seen in the industry, how the industry has evolved in the last 5 years. Let's start there. Like, obviously, you're very familiar. I'm not so familiar with the payment processing, but what is like the biggest trends you've seen develop and also emerging in this space?
So we see a heavy emphasis on financing these days. Having more cash on hand and the ability to kind of spread those payments out has been really beneficial for the different insurance companies that we help process payments for. It's also really good for the insured to be able to break that down a little bit, especially we do a lot of commercial excess and surplus insurance payments. So having cash on hand for those business owners is extremely important. So the ability to spread that out a little bit through finance terms has really helped a lot of our customers. And then as far as emerging trends, it's kind of, I don't know, it's not an oxymoron, but it's a converging and then emerging. We see a lot of M&A in the space, so lots of mergers and acquisitions, but at the same time that happens, a lot of folks are going off and starting their own independent insurance agency or their own MGA or their own premium finance company. So when something gets maybe gobbled up by one of the bigger guys, then there's always somebody who says, well, you know what, I still want to go out and do it my way. And so we're seeing a lot of M&A, but also a lot of emerging of new businesses in the space.
In the fintech space or in the merger and acquisitions with agencies?
The
The
agencies,
leverage level,
MGAs, brokerages,
NGS.
premium finance companies, because while we started in the independent agency space, we now service probably 400 brokers, wholesalers, MGAs across the country. We work with a bunch of regional carriers, probably 40 to 50 premium finance companies, and then as well, like 7,500-ish independent agencies. So we're really working with every segment of the insurance industry now.
That's great. All right, Zach. So one very popular trend that I've witnessed from our clients is the ability, I'm going to refer to it in layman's terms as an agent, but it probably has a different way you guys refer to it, is the ability to convert agency build policies into direct build policies. What I mean by this is, if it is an agency build policy, being able to just send an invoice to the insured and then they can decide whether they want to pay in full or they want to basically pay in installments, which at that point converts the policy into a finance policy. But the big difference being that the agency at this point does not have to collect any of the payments, including the down payments. So all they do really is collect their commissions. And I believe the payment processing company sends the commissions to them. Now, I know you guys have a product like that or about to launch one. Can you give us a little bit more insight into this particular product?
Yeah, we've actually got two products that kind of tie into this. So as far as the finance side, we have a product called Finance Connect, and it's leveraging ePay policies integrations at the various levels of the industry, like I mentioned before. So because we work with about 40, 50 premium finance companies and all these agencies, we integrate into everybody's system. So we integrate into the agency system, we integrate into the premium finance company system. So what we can do through Finance Connect is facilitate the flow of that data from the agency to the premium finance company. So we can automate the presentation of these financing options for insureds when they're going to pay. So not only when they go to our page, they'll see a pay in full option, they can also opt to finance it, sign the PFA right on our page, enroll in those automatic payments for their installments. And then from there, it is kind of no touch for the agency. It's really easy for them to work. I believe that we still send the down payment to the agency and then the finance company will kick in the rest. Then we set up that insured with automatic payments with the premium finance company for their installments. And then as far as sending the commission back downstream, we're actually about to launch, kind of rebranding, relaunching a product that we have for payables. We're calling it Network Payables here. And so because we have this just massive network of agencies, it's very attractive to our MGA customers, our carrier customers, and our premium finance customers who want to send those commissions back downstream, but they don't want to cut a check because we're the name of the game in digital payments is trying to kill the check. Probably back when your relationship started with ePay policy, our main logo was a Godzilla that was kind of going through and burning the checks and tearing those checks down. And so what we can do, our MGA customers, premium finance company customers, carrier customers, they're allowing their agents to enroll in a free page with ePay if they don't already use ePay policy, and then they can leverage our rails to send their commission payments back downstream or any other funds they need to send back downstream. But it's converting those payments which have historically been checks that are cut by those larger entities to the agencies, converting them to digital payments, It's making it a much more secure process. Agents are getting their money faster. So it's kind of a win-win-win for everybody.
Is that something that the agency needs to initiate from their portal in ePay policy, or is there an option to allow, I believe it's called ACH, draw by, what is that called, where the carriers can actually pull the ACH funds for the agency sweep. I believe it's called like a daily sweep. Do you offer these options? Or does the agency have to log in and initiate everything from the portal?
So we don't actually do the agency sweep. We're assisting in the agency collecting the funds or the MGA collecting the funds. And then once they get into their bank account, if they've got an agency sweep set up with their carriers, that process can just remain the same.
I see. Now, do you guys act as a bank where can I, as an agency, again, I'm more interested in the retail agent's experience because that's the bulk of our clients, but if you are helping me collect the funds, do you act as a bank where instead of depositing the funds to my bank and then issuing a payment to my MGA for the agency bill transaction, can I send payments directly from ePay policy to my MGA?
From ePay to the MGA in an automated fashion,
Correct.
or
Well, even if it's just manual, just like it is an agency bill policy, and then I collect the payments, use your finance integrations, and then I can, instead of getting the funds to my bank and then paying that way, can I directly send the funds to my MGA from ePay policy, like
so without
basically
them hitting
avoiding
your
a
account?
transaction? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We actually don't do that because a lot of our larger customers like to hold on to that money for a few days because they will make interest revenue off of those premiums. So giving up that interest revenue is not something that's super attractive to our customers. We do have a full payables network where if the MGA is using ePay policy and the agency is using ePay policy, you can just send those funds via ACH through our payables network.
So that's what I mean. So you have that if both the MGA and the agency are clients, then you can do it directly from there. I see, from the
Yeah,
ACH.
we can send it via ACH, and we can actually do that in batches too. So if you want to send a batch instead of having to do each kind of payment individually, you can send a full batch.
A full batch, meaning for a number of different policies for the day.
Yes.
Going back to the financing integration, so you said you work with, you said 40 different finance companies?
Yeah, it kind of grows every couple of weeks, and then there's folks we have all the big ones, and then folks will spin off their own finance company that's kind of in-house, and we're happy to work with them too.
So who defines which finance company gets the deal? Does the agency profile decide which finance companies they want to work with? Is it something that you guys
Yes.
provide?
So we're kind of in the middle of all this. We process payments for all these premium finance companies too. So we're really just facilitating the flow of data back and forth. So we'll have an agency that's got a long-standing relationship with a premium finance company. We allow them to keep that relationship and just allow us to send the data back and forth in an automated fashion.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, a big question I get on that all the time is ePay doing the financing? And no, we are not. We're not currently doing any premium financing. We're just connecting our customers to our premium finance company customers.
Okay, yes, thanks for clarifying that. For those agents who may not know what ePay does or how that works in the industry, can you quickly clarify what are some of the benefits of using ePay policy to collect payments?
Yeah, so I mean, simply put, we do all things accounts receivable and accounts payable for the insurance industry. So
Okay,
that's
I
collecting
know.
the funds, that's reconciling the funds back into the management systems. It's paying your MGAs, your carriers, sending your commission back downstream.
So I'm going to put you on the spots. There's one particular item I'm looking for, but I don't want to. I want you to like define it. Why wouldn't I use something like Stripe or my bank's payment processing company? There's one additional benefit you guys do that for which that's very attractive to insurance agents. So I'll give you a clue. It has to do with fees and commissions.
Yes. Well, as
I
a
don't know how
third
to best
party,
explain that, so I'm going to let you do that yourself. Yeah.
yeah. So as a third party processing the funds, we're allowed to take that administrative fee for processing the payment, and we can push that onto the end insured or the payers within compliance for the insurance industry. So a lot of those generic payment processors like a Stripe or your bank, or I've heard a lot of folks that use Venmo or PayPal or something like that, it's still technically you taking the transaction. And so you're not allowed to push that fee on. You typically would have to eat that fee out of your commission as the agent. I think it's even Square is the example that I typically use, but it's kind of all those generic payment processors. Square's got it in their terms and conditions. I think it's Section 3, Article 17. Insurance premium payments are just an unsupported industry. And so, I mean, we've had horror stories of folks coming to us where they lost a payment, They weren't able to get it back. They had no explanation from their generic payment processor. But then since they agreed to it in the terms and conditions, there's really nothing they can do. So as an insurance-specific payment processor, we're compliant with all of the industry regulations.
Okay, so great. And again, that's a big benefit. So in other words, agencies don't have to lose half of their commission to credit card fees. On that note, but I remember now 15 years ago when we had our own agency, we used the Wells Fargo payment processing mercantile services, merchant services they call them. We had a pretty heavy volume. It was all commercial, so it was a lot of agency bill. And after a few months, I remember we received a phone call that said, you didn't realize you guys are in insurance, so we cannot support insurance for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons was the fact that basically the premium wasn't earned and also these additional fees that are associated with insurance. So they shut us down. We had to scramble and find very quickly a payment processing company. And I believe back then there weren't that many options. So I can't quite remember what we did, but I don't think ePay policy was available. I'm trying to figure out, what we did. But
I think we're about 11 years old right now. I believe the company started in 2014. So yeah, and we were probably the first insurance-specific payment processor at that time. I know there's a few others in the space right now, but since we've been doing it for so long and we've only been in the insurance vertical, we don't process payments for any other type of business. We've developed this huge network of customers, which has allowed us to do those other cool products like Network Payables, like Finance Connect, where we can send money and data back and forth throughout the space, leveraging our integrations at different levels.
Great. Okay, so before we move into some more generic questions that have to do with technology, what other exciting things are cooking either with ePay policy directly as products in the pipeline, or just stuff that you noticed in the industry that are coming down that may or kind of change the way agencies do business? Is there anything?
Well, the Network Payables is our newest product that's coming out, and I believe that's going to be launched. That actually got launched like last week. And
So
I think
what
we've
is
had
that,
over
Network Payables? Interesting.
Network Payables is the ability for, well, one, if you're an ePay customer, we can leverage our payables network to send those funds back downstream from the carriers and the MGAs to the agents, so they're getting their funds faster. It's a more secure payment process that it's digital. But even if you don't use ePay, and let's say that your MGA uses ePay, but you don't for whatever reason, you can sign up for an account with us completely free to just send and receive funds from that MGA. So you can still leverage our payments network without having to sign up for ePay. I mean, ePay is not expensive. It is $25 a month, so it's not really a big hit. But there's some laggards behind who haven't adopted digital payments yet. But when your MGA says, hey, this is how I'm going to send commission to you now, so if you'd like to get your commission payments, I need you to sign up for this account. It's extremely interesting. Overall, it's the right move for the industry because we can digitize these payments, making them safer and more efficient.
By the way, do you have any data on what percentage of the independent agencies are using a payment processor that's insurance specific like you guys?
Insurance specific, I'm not sure. I know that we work with about 8,000 different folks across the country, and you got to think the independent space is, I think the most common number I see is what, 38,000?
Yeah, I always refer to 40,000. There's been some consolidation, but yeah.
And then you still have those folks splitting off though and starting their own, so you get a lot of startup businesses too. I think it's kind of keeping pace with the M&A.
As payment processors, you mean, or just
companies? No. Well, there's no shortage of payment processors that have popped up in the space, but these days being able to process a digital payment is table stakes for any kind of payment processor in the space.
Now, so are you saying that Sorry, go ahead, finish.
I was going to say now it's about what can you do with that payment data? What other things can you do for me besides take a credit card and an ACH payment? And that's where you see things like our network payables coming into play, which because we have the largest network of insurance entities that need to process payments online, we're in the best position for that to enable not only our agency customers to receive their money faster, but also our customers in the upper tiers of the industry to send those funds in a more secure way. And then we've got Finance Connect, which is leveraging all of our relationships with the premium finance companies and these agencies. And then there's also, I know this is a momentum podcast, but we do have integrations into every level of the space. So we're working with all those premium finance company systems. We're working with the MGA systems as well as our agency management solutions.
Cool. So you said a lot of people are starting their own white label, like some of the bigger organizations starting like a white label version to you guys. Is that something you support?
No, yes, you can white label ePay if you'd like. We can do everything we need to do behind the scenes. But what I was more speaking to is just there's an increased level of competition in the payment space, and there's a couple more insurance-specific payment processors out there now. They weren't around in 2014, but everybody's popping up. I'm sure you've seen Applied's doing their own thing now too. So it's an attractive space to be in, but we do bring our wealth of knowledge and our vast network of folks on our digital payment solution that we can leverage to do really cool things with the data.
Peter, could we get into
I want
Peter?
to
Could
move
we
to.
get in for 1 second? When you talk about like the integration on the financial side, and you mentioned you integrate with the AMS. Do you guys get involved in integrating the data independently with like the accounting systems, which would, in a sense, bypass the AMS, or is everything go through the AMS and then if an agency is using, QuickBooks or whatever general ledger software, do you integrate with those as well?
So we're working on talking to QuickBooks. We do integrate with some insurance-specific accounting systems, but they all still leverage the data that's in the agency management system.
I'm going to ask you one question that I get asked recently a lot, and I don't know if you know the answer, but I've actually know a little bit about what you guys are doing. Issue that comes up a lot is I have collected 15 payments today, and then I get my report or my statement from ePay policy, and it's a single number. There's a 15,000 you collected, and I'm trying to reconcile this now either in my AMS or actually in my QuickBooks is the problem. Are you working on a solution to provide a detailed statement where they can see the 15 individual transactions?
So we actually have that. We have a live accounting dashboard that updates in real time. And what we do is we send a batch payment for all the funds that you've received that day. And then we send you a batch report that you can click into in our dashboard, and it can detail how each one of those individual transactions breaks down. We do
And
this
is
because, like the example you gave where you're receiving 15 payments from the day, it's messy for us to go make 15 different deposits into your bank account and then have you having to reconcile that. So it's easier for us to do a lump sum deposit and then send you a report of how it breaks down.
is that exportable, available like a Excel, CSV? Do you know that?
CSV?
It is.
Yep,
Do you know if that's available through the API by any chance?
it should be.
It should
There's
be,
some
yeah.
other conversations I want to have with you guys too about APIs and leveraging some of these other features that are part of ePay now, but it's kind of dependent on how the integration is built. Caden and I had some interesting conversations on the last happy hour too. So maybe
Yeah,
that's a
and that,
follow-up item for this. But
for sure. Yeah, I know Kuram's also talking to some of your technical team about some of these additional expanding the integration.
yeah, we would
Real
love all of
quick,
our Momentum users to be able to take advantage of those things.
yeah, same with us. Recently in the news, you hear that the insurance industry has been targeted pretty heavily by cyber criminals, basically. A lot of cyber attacks, some infamous
hmm
cases. I believe Erie is still down, maybe some part of their system is still inaccessible. Have you noticed, whatever you can disclose, I know sometimes these things are sensitive, but have you noticed like an increase rate of attacks or incidents that have to do with insurance payments processing?
I think it's always going to be an attractive target for those nefarious folks that are looking to take advantage, do some bad acting. It's kind of ripe for identity theft. Folks that are trying to impersonate someone else and then open up an account. ePay is actually seeing any fraud-related incidents with us declining. I know that that's just because we do a really great job with our risk team and our underwriting team to make sure that everybody who signs up with us is who they say they are.
Okay. I know AI actually, one of the dangers of AI is how good it is at impersonating people and basically being able to manipulate code and systems and so forth. That, people are worried about the impact of AI on cybercrime. But in terms of the positive, impact of AI, are you guys doing anything? I'm gonna preface this. We've dedicated quite a few resources as part of the AMS to try and, automate some of our workflows and then obviously include bits and pieces of AI in that automation, to make things easier. We see the whole SaaS, industry going that way. So is there any AI application in your space? Are you guys doing anything with that you're aware of? You can share?
Yeah, so there's an early form of AI that we've leveraged a few years ago that's OCR, so optical character recognition, very early form of machine learning. And what we leverage that for is to create our CheckMate product. And so
What is that?
it's a product we launched about 3 years ago. While we have the ability to convert payments into digital payments, credit card and ACH, there's you just can't, as an agency, you can't force a payer to pay a certain way, no matter how bad you want it to. No matter, it's easier for you, it's easier for the payer. They might just not want to see that, and they want to bring you a check, or they want to write a check. They sometimes maybe getting out of the house once a month to bring their check by the agency is important to them, and that human interaction. But ultimately, it just causes more problems for our agency, MGA, premium finance company customers who have to take these checks, manually reconcile them, go physically drop them off at the bank, wait for them to clear, come back, put them in their system, hope to interpret the writing on the checks in the right way, right? You hope that nobody made a mistake with the decimal point, or they give you a check and it says in the memo line, it just says for insurance. And you're like, okay, how do I match this to the invoice in my system now? Who is this for? So there's just a lot of problems with checks. CheckMate is a product that we created that said, hey, while we're trying to convert everyone to digital payments, we know you're still receiving a good amount of checks, and we want to take that burden off of you. We have stood up lockbox facilities across the country to where instead of people sending their checks to the agency, they can send their checks to ePay. And so all it is updating the mailing address on the invoice, and then boom, they can send the checks to ePay. At these facilities, we can scan, digitize them, run over them with OCR, and we can pull all the relevant data off of that check and any associated document that is sent with along with the check. Then we create digital versions of this, which are viewable in your dashboard. And so we're also depositing these funds into your account for you. Essentially, it's converting these checks into digital payments. And we can actually, if we're
Interesting.
integrated with the management system, what we can do, there's a few different levels of CheckMate. We can just do the collection, send you a CSV file with all the details, or if we're integrated to the agency management system, we can use our APIs, go in there, grab the information that we think this check payment matches up to, and then we have a UI in our dashboard where it says, hey, we matched 95% of these checks you received to invoices in your system. Can you look over them, make sure they're correct? And then here's 3 or 4 that we couldn't quite match. Here's all the digital payment details. Here's everything that got sent with the check. They sent you a personal note. There's a scanned copy of it in there with the check as well. And those are the only ones you'd have to go reconcile. But then you don't have to go manually to the bank to drop those off or to wait for them to collect in the mail. It's just a lot faster. It's a product that we hope eventually becomes irrelevant in the space because we want everybody to do the digital payments. But
Right.
for the time being, we just want to assist our customers in any way we can.
That's amazing that I never heard of this. I wish I had known about this because we know how quickly the insurance industry moves. So this is still a huge need for that. It's a hassle for most of our agencies. So let's make sure we promote that with our agents. Do you have an idea of what that costs, by the way? Is there is it per transaction,
There's
subscription fee?
subscription, it's part of the subscription fee, and then there's a small per transaction fee that is, because we didn't invent the concept of a lockbox, right? You can get a lockbox from your bank or something, but the banks charge an insane amount of fees, and they will nickel and dime you for any exception or anything like that. ePay policy has a very low cost compared to a bank alternative lockbox. And since we're designed for the insurance industry, there's little nuances of that product that are specific to our customers. And I'm getting out of my water here talking about the pricing of it. I haven't been on the sales team in about 4 years. I've been managing the partnership, so I don't know what the current rate is here, but I'm sure that based on volume, it's a conversation you can have with one of our product specialists.
So how does it work? Like, let's walk an agent through a typical transaction. I receive a check. I'm an agency. I do my banking with Wells Fargo. How do you guys deposit that check into my Wells Fargo?
So we have the agency's banking information because they're signed up with ePay. So we have the account that they want those premiums deposited into. And
And
then
you can
just
do
like we
that.
do with the digital payments, we can send the deposit, we can send the agency all the funds in the batch report. It's just a different kind of batch report. It's, hey, here's your credit card batch, here's your ACH batch, and now here's your check batch with all the checks that you received.
Interesting. So let me ask you a related question, and there's no way the answer is going to be yes, but every so often I have an agency that says, "Can I issue checks through Momentum?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" Well, I mean, I have to send a bunch of printed checks to my producers, pay my MGA. So we actually have, and a lot of the older management systems do it too, but we have a way to print checks, and then you can choose a template of your actual check paper, and I still have a whole like 1,000 sheets. Do you guys offer the ability to print or issue checks
We
from
do.
ePay policy? No way.
If you're sending funds up to your MGA or they're sending funds back, we would prefer you just use our Network Payables product because then
Yeah,
you can send these digitally. It's going to be cheaper than cutting the checks. It's going to be a better experience for everybody involved. But if they're like certified checks or some things that you just have to physically cut a check for, ePay can cut a check for you as well.
really
Yep.
interesting.
It's all just a part of that UI in our dashboard. So it's
Maybe I should log
pretty
in. It's
standard.
been a while since I looked.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got
Next
a
time,
follow-up conversation that we're kind of
for sure, for
planning
sure.
here. We can look at what we can do to our momentum integration so that we can enable all these other products and features for our mutual
Definitely,
customers.
yeah. I know like payments is usually not one of these things that people find very sexy, but it's such an integral part of what an agency does. So,
Yeah.
any kind of improvement on any additional feature we can offer our clients, we should probably revisit the integration. Again, is there any other products that you guys have or are working on that we haven't covered that you want to maybe, bring to our attention?
We had a product that we released at the end of last year. It's a quoting and invoicing tool that is, again, it's just free with ePay's dashboard. And so this is we have a lot of our customers, there's a good swath of folks who don't want to invoice a payment in their system or invoice a policy in their system until they receive payment because they don't want it to hold against their GL. And then if, let's say it's commercial trucking and the trucker ghosts or something, and then now you have to go back and do this work of clearing out this invoice that you ultimately never got paid for. What we do with this quoting and invoicing tool is just allow folks an efficient way to create a quick draft invoice that's sent out via email right from our dashboard, where they can send a request for these funds without it holding against their GL in the management system.
I see. Okay, again, we should revisit all these options and at least make
Yeah.
our clients aware of what's available.
And there could be a version of this too, where once somebody, depending on the APIs available, once somebody pays that, let's call it a memo invoice or a dummy invoice that we send out to collect these funds, once somebody pays that, if the APIs are available, we would love to be able to just push that back into Momentum as a created invoice. So I don't know, do you guys have like a create invoice API that's available to partners?
Yeah, we definitely do. Create invoice, there's multiple options for this, and it hooks into the accounting system, so you can look at the receivables, you can tie them to the invoice, different fees and what.
Yep, it's going on my list.
Cool. Listen, I don't want to make this any longer. As a matter of fact, probably a shorter podcast is easy for people to listen to. I only have one other kind of like wrap it up question, unless you have something you want to say or you have any questions for us that come to mind. So the only other question that I have on my list here is like, what does ePay policy do basically to keep the competitive edge and to stay at the forefront of the insurance industry payment processing?
So like I mentioned earlier, just the payment processing in insurance, the credit card and ACH payments, that's table stakes. For anybody that wants to process payments in this space, you absolutely have to be able to do that. That is the bare minimum. Now it's about what can you do with the data? What can you do leveraging your network of customers, your network of integrations into every level of the space? And that's allowed us to stay on the forefront of innovating in payments in the insurance space with products like CheckMate, with Finance Connect, with Network Payables, with our quoting and invoicing tool, which the quoting and invoicing tool is just kind of something one of our developers just spun up. But it turns out that a lot of folks have that use case where they want to collect funds before they invoice it in their agency management system. But back to answering your question, that's our secret sauce is our integrations with all of our customers, the vast network that we've built over the 11 years that we've been specific to insurance payments, and then our vast network of integrations at every level of the industry.
Yeah, you guys have almost become the generic name for payment processing. Like, how you say, I want to go Google something, you could be using Bing, but you say I'm Googling something. I often hear people say, I'm using ePay. I'm like, oh, you're a client of ePay policy. Says, no, we're using whatever, some other vendor. I'm like, oh, okay, but they use ePay as the reference to payment processing in the insurance space. So that's amazing. You've been a great partner. As I said, all the feedback I get from our clients is they love it. So let's look at what else we can do to improve the integration, bring additional products and additional features, and provide a better experience for our mutual clients. So, Zac, thanks a lot for being part of the podcast, and I look forward to being a great partner with ePay for many years to come.
I look forward to it as well. You guys have been a tremendous partner, and I'm very privileged to be able to manage our relationship with our partners. I do have one more final thought, if I could throw it out there, and it is
Absolutely.
promotion for
Yeah.
the Momentum website. If
Go
anybody
for
out
it.
there listening needs help with, thanks, Michael. If anybody out there listening needs any kind of help with digital payments or check reconciliation or connecting and automating to your premium finance company, please visit the Momentum website. Go to the partners section and click on the ePay policy page. There's a little form on there. Those forms come straight to me, and then I'll connect you with a product specialist or with your account manager if you'd like to turn on your Momentum integration. The Momentum integration with ePay is completely free. So if you're already paying for ePay, you can enable that integration for nothing.
That was a great thought. So thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks again for being part of the podcast, and enjoy your July 4th weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Insurance Technology Amplified. Be sure to stay connected and up to date by following Momentum AMP on all social networks. For show notes, resources, and details on upcoming episodes, visit our podcast page at momentumamp.com/podcast. We look forward to having you join us next time. Take care and see you soon.